Welcome everybody to Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more commented games, please follow my YouTube and Twitch pages below. Welcome everyone to this featured game on the North American server. For the blue team, we do see a V up top, Caitlyn Lux down bottom, Zed in the jungle, and a Gragas in the mid lane. For the red team, we see a Vayne Taric down bottom, Elise in the jungle, Evelynn mid, and a Nidalee up top. This will be my first time seeing Vi up top, and I'm not sure how well she does. I've heard good things about her from other people, but I do not know myself. This is also an interesting combo with the Lux Caitlyn down bottom, as that is a really strong combo in the lane, but it does taper off rather hard towards the mid and late game, as they really need Lux to land a binding and then combo that up with a Caitlyn trap. And Vayne has wisely purchased Cleanse here, as that should be able to keep her safe from any big combos coming her way from the Caitlyn and Lux down bottom. As we jump into this game, the score is 1-1 at the 5:25 mark. Looks like Vayne did pick up a kill on Caitlyn, with Nidalee going down up top. Nidalee has opted for a Tear of the Goddess, an interesting choice, and it looks like she will be going a physical route, having no ability power whatsoever on that character. We do see Lux going for the early Amplifying Tome, likely into the Kage's lucky pick. We have Vi up top, picking up a longsword, and then just have Eve taking a bunch of damage in the mid from Gragas, but she will be able to back up, and Gragas is in a little bit of trouble because his mana is completely drained at this point. Looks like Taric has picked up a Philosopher's Stone, and Lux wisely using the vision granted by her orb there, though Gragas misses ult in the middle lane, and he is getting Eve fairly low. Will Eve be able to get away? I think she will, because Gragas is out, and Nidalee does land a spear, but that spear does not do very much damage. Gragas is just going to run around. Elise has come down bottom, but nothing happening, though Gragas should be able to get a kill here. Ooh, is it close? They're both really low in health, though Gragas is out of mana. Eve is forced to flash, and Gragas does flash for the kill. Bottom lane just didn't want to go help him, and Gragas is going to get away completely free. That is really poor communication by the red team. They had a free kill, no chance of him escaping, and they give it up. Ooh, that's just kind of disappointing, especially when you can give that kill to Vayne, who would really use it, and she's not going to get a ton of CS here. The kill is definitely worth more. Looks like Elise and Zed are going to be fighting it out here, but Zed getting the better of the engagement. Despite being only level 3 at this point, his levels are rather pitiful, as basically everyone else is at least level 5 at this point. He is jumping in onto Elise as he does smite away the red buff. Looks like Gragas is here, lands a nice barrel onto Elise. Elise will be jumping over, but she is going to be pretty low. Caitlyn is wisely backing up, and this is going to be a dead Elise down bottom. She's going to try and escape, but I don't think she has any chance. So she might be executed. No, she does not. And Zed picks up a much needed kill up top. Nidalee is dropped down fairly low, but she is in good shape at the moment, thanks to her heal and the use of her crystalline flask and a bunch of health potions. Looks like V is doing a good job of just harassing with every single one of those excessive force charges. I believe that's the name of it. As we do see Lux and Caitlyn going back down to just playing that harass game bottom. Looks like Caitlyn does take a good bit of damage and missed by the light binding on Lux. Means that Vayne's going to get some good free damage here on Caitlyn, though the shield does prevent a fair amount of it. Caitlyn will have to go back here, as she just does not have the health to really stay for too much longer. She has popped her last health potion, and she'll be at about half health. Looks like Gragas is waiting for Eve to come in the middle. Yes, Eve does back up into that barrel, taking a fair bit of damage, so Gragas is not having the mana to keep this up. He will have to grab a blue potion or a chalice soon. I like the chalice pick onto Gragas, especially when they're going double, possibly triple AP, as I'm not sure what build Elise is going. Looks like stun out by Taric, and it is just in range, meaning Caitlyn will get away thanks to a good exhaust and use of her net, though this means Vayne does get to free farm for while down bottom, and Vayne free farming is never fun. Looks like V up top has picked up 2 daggers. I'm not sure what she's going to build those into. Gragas with a blasting wand. Zed likely to go for the Wriggles Lantern as he picks up the cloth armor and longsword. Gragas has picked up a blue buff and is just running away from that engagement as they don't really want to fight that out, especially being as split as they are. Vayne's getting a lot of good damage on this tower. As we do see Gragas running back into the lane, Nidalee has started to charge up her tier, and she's actually doing very well with it. It's going to become a Manamura pretty soon, as it has gotten about a third of the way there. Vayne has picked up the Vampiric Scepter. We do see Caitlyn going with a longsword and Berserker's Greaves. Elise sitting up top, waiting for Vi to jump in there, but I don't think she's going to. She realizes it's not a good time to go play offensive. And it's going to be a stalemate for a little bit. Both teams really not wanting to fight it out, as the blue team is up 3 kills to 1 and with a slight 200 gold lead. Big hits by the Decisive Force really harass Nidalee down, and it gives Vi a shield to prevent harassment on herself. She's a really nice top laner, though I have not seen her play top lane much. I've seen her mostly in the jungle. Gragas doing some decent damage there to Eve, but Eve returning it as well. Gragas has picked up a Duran's Blade in addition to the Crystalline Flask. And it looks like Elise is going to try and come in here for a gank mid, but she is spotted out by a ward, and there's several pings for it. Looks like Taric's trying to get on her. Caitlyn does do a good bit of damage, but the shield from blocks does keep Caitlyn in good shape. Elise comes in with teleport, and that should be a dead Lux, though she flashes away at the last second. Will she get the light binding off? Yes, but not in time to save herself. But only sacrificing 1 for that is not a terrible trade. Vayne does take a good bit of damage. Eve roaming down bottom, and this will be a dead Caitlyn, making that a pretty good trade now, as they picked up 2 on the back end. And that's the advantage of Eve. She can just roam extremely well. Though the problem is Eve is giving a lot of farm to Gragas here. And hopefully Gragas can go start roaming as well, as he is a very solid roam, especially if you have someone that could jump in there and start a fight. Like the Lux with a nice light binding, or Vi just jumping in there. Looks like Nidalee and Vi are just going to harass it out, and Nidalee might be building just a pure mana build almost at this point. Going for the Glacial Shroud even before picking up boots. Looks like we do see Zed coming down bottom. Will he be able to get in the range of Taric? He pops the ultimate on Taric, and there's a big bunch of damage coming out from it. But Vayne pops her ultimate and does jump in on Zed. Zed getting low, but Vayne taking a good bit of damage from that tower. Light binding hits, and the ultimate goes off, but Vayne dodges it. And Vayne will easily be able to escape after that. Nice try by Lux, but perfect timing on that cleanse by Vayne. And it looks like the bottom lane is just going to be pushed out heavily by the Caitlyn. He is pretty low up top, and she will be doing a good bit of damage from taking a good bit of damage done to the tower by Nidalee. And Nidalee should be able to push down this tower pretty soon, as Lux and Caitlyn are going to try and push down the tower of their own, thanks to the fact that both Vayne and Taric had to go back. Eve is going to go roam down bottom, though, and Eve should be able to pick up a kill if they don't move pretty soon. Her ultimate is almost off cooldown, though it is still a few seconds away, and if it doesn't come off soon, they might actually be able to get away, though the tower will be taken here by Caitlyn. Eve is just waiting for her ultimate to come off. It has come off, and it means that is a dead Caitlyn. Though only Caitlyn dying, not terrible trade for a tower. It could be far worse, though Vayne did pick up the kill. This Caitlyn's not worth very much gold and is farming not like a Caitlyn should. Caitlyn should be getting virtually every single minion. Nidalee up top going to go grab this tower. Though Vi is going to jump in here and put out some good damage to Nidalee, but Nidalee will just jump over the wall, or she can miss the wall. And it looks like Vi is going to jump over. She will fall with a flash and pops the ultimate for some big damage, and a almost finished off Nidalee. Nidalee throws out a heal. Vi is charging up, misses the charge, and I'm not sure Nidalee is going to have enough speed to get away, though she does just barely pick up that burst speed and run. Red team is going to take this dragon, thanks to the fact that Caitlyn was killed in that last engagement, and there is no chance for a return kill. Gragas is going to throw a barrel down there, but hit no one, as our team has taken a sizable 2k lead, despite only being up 1 kill at this point. It mostly comes down to superior farming in the bottom lane, and the fact that they've gotten a few more assists for all of their kills. Looks like V has picked up the Stinger, and I'm not sure what she's going to do. That might go for a Zephyr, but I'm not totally sure. Caitlyn trying to trade with Vayne, but Vayne trades far better at this point in time, especially considering she does have that Zeo miss on the light binding by Lux. And Vayne does take a good bit of retaliatory damage, thanks to Caitlyn being able to just sit back there and launch off auto attacks. We see Lux going for a Philosopher's Stone after picking up the Kage's lucky pick. Gragas has gone for the early Abyssal Scepter. Light binding up by Lux, misses down bottom. And not much is going to be done. If that hits, they can really engage on it. Especially if Caitlyn has a trap ready. You can light binding into trap if they don't have Mercury at treads. Though it is fairly difficult to do. Zed is going to go for a Brutalizer. I pick up the Doran's Blade and the Hunter's Machete. Looks like Taric has picked up a Philosopher's Stone. And it looks like Caitlyn will get a trap landed on Taric, but Taric really doesn't care at this point. He's just a little too strong. Top Zed's going to be jumping on Nidalee, but Nidalee is way too far away at this point. Though Nidalee might get a kill on Zed. Zed will be just safe as long as Nidalee misses her abilities. And that is a dead Nidalee. Nice timing by Zed. Down bottom, Vayne is jumping onto Lux, and Lux will be taken out rather quickly. Shatter up on Taric, and it means Caitlyn will be going down as well. Double kill by Vayne. And this Vayne is really unstoppable at this point. I'm not sure what they're going to do about her, quite honestly. They don't have the burst damage to take her down, unless they land a Zed ultimate into Gragas barrel or something. But it's still not going to be a whole lot. Gragas doing a good bit of damage to Eve here, as Eve will be forced to go back to base after this, as Eve does burn her flash. Gragas didn't have his ultimate up, or he would have been able to throw that out, but he decides it's best to just back up, not go for the tower dive. The up top is going to go punch this tower down, as Vayne does take the bottom tower. Lux has completed her Philosopher's Stone. We might see a Last Whisper up next on V. We have Caitlyn picking up a pickaxe, likely going to go into that Infinity Edge. Brutalizer finished on Zed. Nidalee has finished her Iceborne Gauntlets, and has picked up the Tear of the Goddess. Tear is almost fully charged at this point. Eve has picked up a needlessly large rod in addition to an Amplifying Tome and some Doran's Rings. Vayne with the Bloodthirster and Zeal is really going to wreck these team fights. Looks like we have Taric picking up the Recite Stone and Philosopher's Stone. Lux with the Light Binding lands on max range onto that Eve, and Eve is very low, but Eve might get away. No, Zed comes in there for the kill. Nice combo there. But the problem is it's not a kill on Vayne, and it's not stopping Vayne from farming, as Vayne should be able to pick off this kill on Caitlyn rather easily. And that's just what happens when you get a Ved Vayne. It is not pretty. Elise has picked up a Haunting Guise and a Maladrid's Razor, as the middle turret has been taken down by the blue team. The goal lead is virtually even at this point. Nidalee is coming out here, but does get body slammed by Gragas. And taking low, Taric is here as well, as Vayne is coming up. Will they be able to get onto Nidalee? Gragas with the flash, and Gragas will pick up the kill there. Looks like a teleport coming out of the jungle. Elise, but a nice light binding keeps everyone nice and safe. Though it looks like Taric is going to try running up here. That means Zed is in danger, but Zed does flash away. Gragas' ultimate will be up in a few moments if he wants to pursue. And the big thing about Gragas' barrels is they do slow attack speed fairly heavily. So if he can actually land those barrels onto Vayne, he can stop Vayne's damage. Looks like he has picked up the Last Whisper, Abyssal Scepter on Gragas, and he should have a good bit of gold at this point. Yeah, I'm not sure what he's saving it for, but he should pick up something pretty soon. He jumps in onto Vayne. Vayne does get hit with the ultimate, but there is not enough follow-up. As she does cleanse out of the slow, ultimate by Lux does go out, and it means Eve will not die, as it did miss her. And everyone on the red team, except Nidalee, who was not in that fight, is low. But they did not die. I really think the V up top needs to be a little more tanky, as I'm not sure what that Stinger really brings. It brings attack speed and cooldown reduction, but you kind of need to build more tanky. She's a fairly good tanky initiator and a great duelist. Zed going to come on here on Elise, doing some good damage. Question is, will he be able to get the kill? No. As Vayne and Taric do kind of close in on him. That's something you would not want to fight. Lux in the middle is trying to save that mid tower, and she does, thanks to a light binding, forcing Vayne to tumble away. We are going to see PanderNyrl completed at any point by Nidalee. We have a Vampiric Scepter finished on to Zed and going for the Black Cleaver pretty soon. Looks like Zed pops his ultimate, and it is going to do some good damage to Taric, but he is exhausted. And the ultimate from Caitlyn is blocked and finished off by Vayne on Zed. Looks like Caitlyn is in for a world of trouble as Vayne comes up and punches the damage on him. And this red team is looking pretty unstoppable despite only having a 3,000 gold lead. They just look really strong at this point, and the fact that Vayne is 8-0-2 is incredibly scary. Barrel drop by Gragas just to disperse them off the tower, but he's not going to have a chance to do a whole lot at this point, as he just doesn't have the damage he really needs to finish off these fights. The red team is going to go for a dragon at this point, but instead they decide to back up, realizing they don't have the health, and that bottom wave is pushing hard. Looks like V and Lux are going to go out there and go take this dragon for themselves. Taric might come in here to try something, but he's not going to get a whole lot done, as this should be an incredibly safe dragon thanks to the fact that Vayne will be back at base. Same thing with Nidalee and Taric. And that all, it makes it only a 2,000 gold lead for the red team, but as I was saying a moment ago, it feels larger than a 2,000 gold lead. Especially because where the concentration of the kills are. Vayne sitting at 8,000 gold. That is pretty ridiculous for 20 minutes in the game. Looks like DFG picked up on Eve, as PanderNyrl complete on Nidalee means she's going to be doing a ton of damage. She is getting 46 attack damage from that. And I like the choice of going for PanderNyrl on Nidalee, as it works with her spears. As she throws a long range spear and it connects, it does do a good bit of damage. Nice light binding there prevents Eve from jumping in for further damage. And the red team will be forced back, as Eve is fairly low. But it looks like they are not going to be grouping up, as V has chosen to go back. Looks like BF Sword picking up on Caitlyn. She's back at base. Gragas still here fighting, but he's not going to have a good chance to do much, as another light binding goes out nicely on Vayne, taking her fairly low, but she will be able to heal up thanks to that Bloodthirster. It looks like a Zephyr has been completed on Vi, and right now the red team just needs to siege it out. They have a much better sieging team with this Nidalee. Vi jumps in on Nidalee, doing a good bit of damage and picking her up with the ultimate, but that ultimate really needs to be safe for Vayne. Barrel toss goes out by Gragas, and no one from the red team goes down thanks to just a little bit too many items here. Vayne gets exhausted, but it is cleansed immediately. But barrel toss comes out, and Zed takes the spear to the face. Looks like ultimate from Caitlyn was blocked by Eve, and everyone's just very low at this point. Elise coming in there trying to get on Caitlyn, but she does go a little too greedy and taken out. Spear from Nidalee does come out and land on Gragas for a good bit of damage. But everyone on the blue team will be forced back at this point. They are all very low. Max range spear by that 80 Nidalee does a ridiculous amount of damage. Eve jumping up on Lux, but Eve will be safe because she was not in tower range when she popped her ultimate. Though Eve ultimate down doesn't mean they will have to back up. They really don't want to fight without that ultimate. Looks like we will be seeing a Ruby Sightstone and the double gold for 10 items up on Lux. Zephyr and Last Whisper completed on Vi. I don't like that choice. It just doesn't feel very good. You don't feel very strong. You need to build a little tankier than going for that pure damage route. Looks like Zed has picked up a Black Cleaver in addition to his Vampiric Scepter. Nidalee with a fair bit of gold will be... I'm not sure what she's going to go next. Probably some sort of health item here. I think a nice health item would be good for her. Eve has picked up Deathfire Grasp and Double Durance rings. We do have Vayne completing her Phantom Dancer, Bloodthirster, and a Pickaxe. Likely going to go... I'd probably go for a Last Whisper here, but she could also choose to go Infinity Edge if she wants to bring in the big damage. Taric has completed Ruby Sightstone, Kindle Gem, and Philosopher's Stone. Looks like Elise has opted for the Sorcerer's Shoes in addition to the Haunting Guise and Wriggle's Lantern. Or not Wriggle's Lantern, just the Maladrin's Razor and Armor. I think she should have gone for the Sightstone if she was going to go Wriggle's instead of Wriggle's, because it just doesn't work that well on Elise. Sightstone gives her health and mana regen to kind of roam around the jungle and always have enough mana. Just kind of spam things out there. In addition, you can be building some really great tanky items, or even a pretty good spell vamp item. Both teams are just going to group up here in the mid, though Vayne is going to push bottom first, as Vayne can basically do whatever she wants in this game. She's 803 with 169 CS, being absolutely ridiculously farmed. The big problem is Gragas can catch Vayne out. Vayne isn't immune to being caught out by that ultimate by Gragas. So Gragas is going to try and jump in on Taric, but not a whole lot of damage being done. As we do see the entire blue team grouping up here. Nice toss by Gragas, but Taric does flash over the wall. At this point, Vi does jump in, trying to get on Taric, and pops the ultimate on him. Not sure that's the wise decision, as Taric does throw out down the exhaust. Gragas jumping up, throws the barrel, and it misses. But it does mean Elise has to get forced back. And that is one dead, but Nidalee is just going to split push top, as that top tower is going to go down. Vi is going to go jump him. But the blue team says, we don't care, we're going to go base race, basically. He is coming from the back, lands 4 with her ultimate, and that is a dead Caitlyn. This will also likely be a dead Gragas. Okay, that was Lux that got killed first, and Zed will get the kill on Eve, as they are all very low. Caitlyn very low as well, but everyone can back up, and Vayne is going to split push down bottom. Nidalee going to split push up top. Gragas picks up Elise during all of this. Problem is they're losing their base for it, and all those towers are worth more gold than the kills. Vayne will not be able to pick up this bottom tower, as they are going to close down on her, but Nidalee does get the top tower. No inhibitor taken, so it's not terrible, but no top tower and bottom tower. It's going to be really hard to defend at. And also, this Vayne got a bunch of farm during all of that. She has just crossed the 200 mark, with Nidalee also approaching 200 mark. Spirit Vestige out on Nidalee. Not a bad choice there. Lux going for the Aegis of the Legion. Caitlyn has finally finished off her Infinity Edge and Vampiric Scepter. We see Azani's Hourglass likely to be up next on Elise. Interesting choice, considering they do not have that Abyssal Scepter for the Magic Penetration Aura. I would have liked to see that come out of her instead of the Zhonya's. But there is a large amount of physical damage on the blue team, so I understand it. Elise is teleporting around, and she does teleport to the blue buff. But Gragas is here along with V, and they will do a good bit of damage, but they are not going to stay alive. Though Gragas does pick up Elise with his big ultimate, and Zed does get a kill onto Eve thanks to his. And they really turn that fight around. I do not see how they live that. But Nidalee is in trouble as Gragas runs across, tosses the barrel down, and Zed should be able to finish him off, but no, she flashes right into a big fist by V. And that's a 3 for none. That's how they're going to have to come back into this game on the blue team, is just pick some people off and make something happen after they pick them off. They could be able to push the lanes out. They could possibly go for Baron if they wanted to. But right now, I think they're just happy to push the lanes back, get some wards up, as they really don't have anything across the map. Looks like Vayne does decide to steal red buff before backing up. And right now, blue team just needs to stay grouped up. They're going to catch Taric out here, and catching Taric is pretty good. They might catch Vayne as well, as the entire team is here, though Vayne's damage does force them back. V just cannot take that big damage. Likely going, I'm not sure what she's going to go next. That's an interesting build. Having picked up the recurve bow, dagger. Might be going for Wit's End, though Caitlyn is going to be picked off here by Eve. Zed does take the dragon while this is happening. Elise finishes off Caitlyn in the back lines. Gragas is stunned, and Zed is going to be dueling Vayne. Vayne, not much of a chance there. Shut down on Zed. Gragas with a big barrel toss does save himself. But that's a 3 for none exchange, and they just got caught out. Red team pinging for Dragon, but Dragon is dead. Though the red team will wisely decide with Dragon dead to just go down bottom, pick off the inhibitor, and back up. They could also go for the top inhibitor if they wanted, though Gragas might dissuade them from any real action. Home guard boots have picked up onto Gragas. I like this choice, as I think he's basically going to be defending the rest of the game. I don't see them having any way to be really aggressive unless they have a way to end it. Though he's doing a good job, as Taric might go down here thanks to the Vi ultimate. Yes, he does. Gragas getting low as well. But he does go down in the back end. And the big thing is they do protect the inhibitor for the moment, though Vayne will come here and clean it out. And that's the first inhibitor of the game, and that's the most important inhibitor of the game down as well, as it is the farthest from the big Mac objectives like Baron. Nidalee almost grabbing the next inhibitor tower, and it's really going to be hard to stop Nidalee just split pushing all day long, as she is incredibly strong. Looks like a Sword of the Divine picked up on V, and I'm not sure that's such a great choice. Caitlyn will not decide to go Nidalee after that light binding. I thought she was going to go jump up there and try and few hits, but Vayne is just way too strong at this point. She is currently the highest level in the game at level 17, and is just ridiculously strong. She should have her Infinity Edge whenever she wants it. She just has to go back at this point. Taric is going to go picking for the Aegis of the Legion next. He has picked up a Cerulya's Reverie and Ruby Sightstone. Hourglass finished on Elise. We do have Nidalee with a little bit of gold. I'm not sure what she can pick up next. Same thing with Eve. Eve has picked up a Blasting Wand. She can go for another big item like a Death Cap next if she wants. It looks like a Zeal is next up for Caitlyn, as we have the Sword of the Divine, Zephyr, and Last Whisper completed onto V. Looks like Aegis of the Legion is next up on Lux, as she does have the double gold per 10 items and cooldown reduction boots. Zed has picked up a BF sword, likely going to go into a Bloodthirster, having picked up the Black Cleaver already. We jumping out there and just going to be clearing these waves so Nidalee doesn't get in there, as Nidalee doesn't really want to fight in all these minions. Minions are rather annoying. Caitlyn doing some good damage to her, but the slow from those Iceborne Gauntlets is just a little too strong. And while this is happening, Baron is going to go down thanks to the fact that Vayne does a ridiculous amount of damage. And with Baron down and Nidalee split pushing away, this is the red team's game to lose. Despite a close kill score, they're really winning in minions here and in overall objectives. This should be the death push by the red team, as Eve has finished off her death cap and Vayne has finished off her Infinity Edge, likely going for a Last Whisper next. But there's Zed getting stunned up, and a nice use of the light binding, but Eve just goes and destroys the middle turret while it's happening. Vayne does go down, but so does Zed, and that means that they might be able to fend for a little while longer, but Eve's not even entering this fight as she's just going for inhibitors off on the side. Lux does get caught out a little bit, but she is tanky enough to survive this engagement. Here comes Eve as she does pop her big ultimate off in addition to Deathfire Grasp. And there goes Gragas, there goes Lux. And that is good game. Unless we can really do something here, but I do not think so. As she is just not strong enough this game, with a rather interesting build on her. I'm not sure how well it worked out. I would like to see something a little more tanky. Looks like V is going to try and get Taric here at the last stand, but not much is going to happen as all three inhibitors are down. And Nidalee is just way too strong with that Manamura, dealing a ridiculous amount of damage. And that is a good game, thanks to an incredibly fed Vayne and really just amazing split push power throughout the entire team on the red side. They really just abused that split pushing Nidalee, and whenever Nidalee was out split pushing, she'd draw a lot of attention and let Vayne just farm all game long. And that shows in the CS. And how incredibly far Vayne was ahead, especially after that laning phase. It was pretty ridiculous. As we do go to the end-game score screen, we can see that, yeah, V did have the highest goal for the blue team, but it was nowhere close to that of the red side, as Vayne just snowballed away with a huge lead on everyone. And that's what happens if you don't shut down Vayne early. Or you have someone like Nidalee who can apply a lot of pressure elsewhere and force people away from Vayne.
Thank you for watching Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more, follow my YouTube and Twitch pages below.